Pressing record. All right. So, welcome everyone. I think I know everyone here. There's one name that I'm not as familiar with. So, welcome. My name is Anita Thompson of Art Venture Workshops, and I teach mostly for libraries. And I always say they are my favorite group. So tonight we are going to be making this vintage winged key, and I'll be doing more of these coming in the summer. I just released the new programs and didn't really release some of my vintage stuff because I was still working on it. But if you like this sort of thing, I'll be featuring it in the next few weeks in my newsletter and getting some feedback from all of you. So thinking about doing a telephone, like an old fashioned telephone. I think that would be kind of neat. Yeah, so that's one. For sure. We shall see. All right. So, again, we are going to do this in landscape mode. I'm going to just adjust my camera here. And so we're going to break everything down into shapes, and we're going to take our time and we're going to enjoy this one. Just a reminder that if it doesn't come out looking exactly like mine, don't panic. It will still look good. And I know it because I've seen what 99% of you have done, and it always comes out amazing. So, all right. So we are going to start with the key, and we're going to start with sort of an overall shape. So if we look at this key, it's more bulbous up here, and then it goes a little more straighter. And obviously it's at it's not straight on, it's at an angle. So we're going to start making some light lines, just a straight line on where we want the key to be in line with. So my lines are going to look darker so that you can see it, but your line should look lighter. So this is a line so that we are able to then go off of this line and create all of the swirls on this. Okay. All right. So once we have our line down, we're going to come about halfway down our line. And it's okay if it's not inexact, because we can always make this part bigger or this part bigger. But basically what we're doing is we're cutting in half the part of the key that we hold and sort of the part of the key that goes in the door. So we're going to come about right here, and we're going to make a curve for this curve right here. Oh, did I just see somebody come on? Nope. Okay. I'm not doing it. All right. And so again, this is for where our wings are going to come out. So we're going to work down here first. And so this is going to serve as the middle. So I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to start with this shape. So our curved area is right here, and we're just going to skip a little space, and we're going to start to make the curve around the straight line, so that this will sort of help you in how you're designing it, or it should be, hopefully. And I'm going to start to go a little bit closer here. Let me just adjust my lighting. Okay. All right. So we're going to keep going. And this is a little too bulbous. We have to straighten this part out just a little bit. Like so. And then we're going to come down here and start to make some of the separate details. So we've got an area that's going to look like this. And that is split in the middle. And we're going to keep going, staying along this line here. And then we have another smaller section here. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. This needs to be a little bigger. Sorry about that. I was looking at another section of my drawing. So I apologize. So please erase this part, and we're going to make this one a little thicker like this, like so. And then a smaller section like so. And then right up against that, we're going to be making sort of another wider section here, like so. But on the sides, you want to make 2 bumps and then a line. Okay. Now we're going to continue with one more section here that's a little bit smaller, like this. I'm going to go a little bit closer here. And then we're going to start with another sort of bulbous area right off of that. And then right from there, we're going to start to continue with the next and final part of the end of our key. And it's going to be kind of like a bulbous shape here on the bottom again. So we kind of just did an outline of what we're doing. And we're going to go back in and we're going to make some details before we move on. So what we want to do is now erase the line that's in the middle that we just created. So not the line up here extending past the part we're drawing, but now you kind of have this strange looking, looks like a tool at this point. Before we get into the detail, we're going to come up here and we're going to be making one more shape off of this part. We're going to extend the line, curve it out a little bit, and then go upward. And you may have to erase the previous line I told you to make, the curved line. That's why we go lighter. And you're going to make 2 bumps on either side, just like we did before. But then make 2 lines, but 2 half lines that don't connect in that section. And then you can make these 2 little lines to make it look 3-dimensional. I'm just going to kind of show this up close. Okay. So now we're going to come into this and we're going to start making some lines. So our first line will be close to this section here, and it's going to follow the shape. So it's going to kind of curve. And then we have another line, again, closer to the other side, that's mimicking the same shape, but just the opposite way. So curves at the bottom here. I have to readjust my outside shape here. I want that to be just a little bit bigger, a little more bulbous. Okay. All right. So next, in the middle here, we just have a little bit of a line right here, right at this part. And later on, we're going to be kind of blending these out a little bit. But right now, we just want to get some of the detail happening. And so we're going to continue and skip over these parts, these sections for now. And I'm going to start coming a little closer so that you can really see the detail here. So we're skipping over these sections and we're going to come right in here and we're going to start making sort of the bulbous parts here. So what's happening here is we have a diamond shape like so. And then we have another diamond shape on this side, but you can't see it fully. So it's a little bit thinner than this diamond shape. Now stay with me as we now get to this part. And there's one more of that diamond shape, but you can only see a little bit, like so. And then the other side is also part of the diamond shape. So you're going to make the bottom part. And now all of a sudden you've got this diamond shape going around the section of the key. So another thing that you might need to do is adjust your shape of your key, because this part right here should be kind of on top and this is coming kind of out of it. So I had to adjust mine. And it's kind of more bulbous at the end. And then when we get to the end, we're going to make a curved line. And then from there, we're going to make two lines like so that are curved. And we're going to add a little bit of a diamond, a light diamond shape over here and shade that in. We are going to shade that more, but for now, we're just going to add a little bit of some shading there. And then we're finally going to come and advance into the key. So this part is obviously the most detailed. So we're going to take our time. So we're going to start right up in this section, and we're going to start with the part that is kind of like, sort of reminds me of a little bit of the shape of an arrowhead, right? So here we are here. So we're going to advance here, and we're going to make this shape. So again, all of your lines want to be light right now because we're making the shapes so that we can make sure to get the shapes correctly, and then we erase anything that doesn't make sense. Okay. And I know we haven't done the key part down here, the actual part that goes in the door. So we will go back to that too. But so coming back here, we're now going to come up here and we're going to make 2 curved lines coming out of here. And then we're going to make like an arrowhead type shape, like so. And it's going to be going towards the line that we created. I'm going to kind of stay on that line. And then inside that shape, we're going to make 2 lines next to each other, but those are going to become triangles, sort of like side triangles. So we're going to stick in the middle. So our next shape is going to be the heart, right? And then we're going to start expanding. And so right over here, we're going to add a tiny embellishment that's going to look like this. And then we're going to make our heart starting from that embellishment. And so right now we're doing the inside of the heart. So basically, the heart's going to be a little bit flat here and then go out and then come back in. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. And you're going towards, again, this straight line. Now, if you notice, I haven't finished off this part of the heart, but we're about to do that. So we're going to curl those parts like so. And then we're going to start making the lines around it and underneath it to make it look 3-dimensional. So that's going to bring us back over here to where we, whoops, made a line that I didn't mean to make there, sorry. So we're going to come back here and we're going to trace around. So for now, we're tracing around our heart shape. And we're going to get here and we're going to curve around and we're going to round it off. And we're going to do the same thing to this one. But this one, you might have to go on the inside. Like so. So same thing, just follow that heart shape around. When you get to this part, curve around like so. Not so bad so far, right? Okay. So this is what you do. You break things down just like you would do with anything to help your understanding. That's always what I do with anything, or at least I try. Can't say I'm a rocket scientist, so I would have no idea. But some of this stuff, you can break it down to the basics and think of it in layers. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're now going to make some three-dimensional elements. So for instance, I have to fix my part here. We're going to come over here and we're going to make the inside of the heart. And that's going to connect about right here. And once you do that, I want you to quickly just shade it in because that's going to help you with not getting confused. And it doesn't have to look like anything spectacular right now. You just want it shaded. And that's going to help you a bit with looking at, I think, three-dimensionality. And if you want, you can trace a darker line around it like so. And you can even do that on the other side. Okay, and it should already start to look a little bit three-dimensional to you. And then we're going to come around the other side and we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to start from this end. And we're going to go in a little bit here. And this line's going to get thinner as we go down to about here because of the angle. And then you're going to do the same thing, shade in that part. And then you can trace around for it to be a little bit darker. All right, so step one, harder part done. So eventually, some of these lines are not going to be here, but this is going to help us process where everything goes. So now that we've got the heart part, we're going to come up here and we're going to make sort of what looks like a squiggle. So we're going to curve here. And so same thing, everything we do on the left side, we're going to do on the right side. Okay, we're going to leave that for now, except we're going to come up here and we're going to fill that shape out just on the outside for now. like this. And then we're going to come down to this part and we're going to make a half circle. And you're going to do the same over here too. And then in between here, you're going to make sort of an oval type circle here. And then you'll do the same here. Now we'll be doing some adjusting with our shapes, but we want to get the basics down. Now from here, we're finally going to make sort of a curve, but right here, this is going to be the inside of one of, or our next shape. And we're going to do the same to this one as well. But this one is going to be out a little further and kind of be kind of kidney shaped. And it's going to be shaped right around the heart shape. So about like that. Okay. So now we're going to just come back in here for a second in this area. We're going to leave these alone and we're going to come back in here and we're going to make the insides of this shape. So we're going to start here at the heart and we're going to make a line like this. We're going to leave some space because we may have to adjust this line. And then we're going to curve and make kind of a teardrop shape. Now we're going to come here and we're going to change the shape a little bit just so that it meets up with this shape. So what you're going to do is you're going to go there. You're going to erase this one, this shape right there. And you're going to come a little further down so that it's shaped like that. So again, I erased this shape and now I want this shape to kind of come down and meet up with the heart. And then this shape, we're going to erase a bit and make it come up against that same shape. And then we're going to fill this in with shading. So now that you filled that in with shading so that you could see where the shading is, we're going to come back over here and make this a little bit pointier. So I just erased a little bit of the shading so that I could make this part just a little pointier. And we're going to work here on the left side because this shape, we want to start making a curve to go on top of the heart shape. So you're going to round this part out and you're going to curve it around like so. But you're not going to come down to the heart shape yet because there is a bump and then a bigger bump. It's a circle. And you're going to come up to the heart shape here. So your circle should meet up with the heart shape right here. And we're going to leave that for now and just come over here on the right side. And we're going to do a little of that stuff over here. Excuse me. So over here, we're going to make a line coming off of here because that's a shadow. And you can fill that in before we go any further. And then when you do that, you're going to fill that in, but then come to a point here, and then you're going to go around the heart shape, and then you're going to connect to the shape that is kidney shaped. So here's your kidney shape. If it's a little bit off, you want to move it a little closer in towards your heart. I'm going to make mine just a little bit closer here. And you're going to make a funny looking shape here, connecting with the heart. And then this part here is going to kind of look like this. And it's going to go right near where the kidney part is, but not meeting up with the circle part. So I'm just going to erase this so you can just see there's a bit of a distance between this shape and the kidney shape. And then we're going to finally finish off the kidney shape, make it three-dimensional. So you're going to go around. Like so. And you're going to come here in the middle where we made this line, and you're going to make another curved line. And it's going to go all the way around till about right here, and then you're going to fill this in with shading. Again, it doesn't have to be incredible right now. You just want to make sure that that is the inside. Okay. And then we're going to come over here, staying on the inside, and we're going to make one more curved line, and you're going to lightly shade that in. And then before we add anything else, we're going to come over here at the bottom of our kidney shape, and we're going to make one of those circles again, like over here, circular shape. And it's going to meet back up towards the heart. I'm just adjusting my circle here. Sorry for all the wonky lines. There we go. And then you're going to come inside here and make another circle. It's going to be closer to the edge of your shape. And then you're going to make a smaller circle and shade inside so that that is the inside shape, making it three-dimensional in there. And once you do that, we're going to make this shape three-dimensional by adding a line here and sort of a half circle. This is the line for around the rest of this section. And it's going to stop up here. So I made a few parts here, right? I made these two half circles. And this is the three-dimensional part. Oh, and actually, sorry, erase this line here. Sorry about that. I was, again, looking at something else. So there should not be a line here. There should be a line here, two half circles, and a line here. And then you can very lightly shade in these sections, very lightly, lighter than the rest. But that's just going to give you some sort of three-dimensional look to this. Okay, now we're going to flip over to the left side for a second to now make these parts look more three-dimensional. And we're going to start here with the circle, and we're going to do the same thing, make sort of a big circle. Like so. Smaller circle inside, and then shade in the bigger circle, because that will become the inside of the three-dimensional part of your key, the way the angle is. And we're going to make the other three-dimensional part here. By making a shape like this, flat and then curved, and then you're going to shade. So it's starting to come together. And we're going to now come up here and we may have to do, let's see, a little bit of adjusting here. There's our circle. Actually, we're going to make this circle a little more circle-like. And we're going to shade the left side of it. And then we're going to flatten this shape a little more inside. So by that, I mean we're going to erase the inside of this shape, that curve. And then we're going to come back down here and we're going to make the shape just a little bit different than we had it, more like this. And then curve again. And then we're going to adjust the outside shape of that too. So again, I erased this, went in, flattened out, and then came back around. And then we're going to make this part, I erased this center part here to just make it a little bit flatter, like so. And we're going to add one more half circle up here. And we're going to add a curly Q up here. So this curly Q is going to have a larger circle or kind of curve here. And then a little bit here, like so. We're going to start to make some more three-dimensional elements starting back over here. So we're going to make a thin line that goes up against the other circle part here, and then you're going to shade that in. And again, you can trace outside of it so that that line's a little bit darker. We're going to be tracing around a lot of our lines after anyway. We're getting there, guys. I promise. We're getting there. It's detailed. Now we're going to come up to this part, and we're going to make this three-dimensional. So here, we're going to make inside here three-dimensional, but we're going to go and make another line like this. So it's kind of curved. And it stops right here. And then you're going to shade this in because that's going to make it look angled. I'm going to clean that up a little bit. Okay. Let's see, we're good here. Okay. And then one more thing here. We just want to make this line a little bit more outward. And this one, we want to also make it touch more, like so. And we're going to add one more three-dimensional piece under here. So we added this piece here along this curve, and we're going to add one more connected to it, and then you're going to fill that in. Okay. So we are good for now with this section, but now we're going to come over here and we're just going to add a few more things. So we're going to add a little part right on the edge here, like so. And then you're going to make that, you're going to fill that in so that that's the three-dimensional part there. So right around that curve. Okay. We've got this one, this one. Okay. And now finally, we're coming down here and we're going to complete the last part of this key before we do some shading, and we'll get the wings in and all of that. But right here, we're going to make sort of a diamond shape inside. So basically, coming off of here, you're going to make a curve like that. And then you're going to make another one of those sort of curved parts here like this, and it's going to go around and curve again and meet up with this part here. Whoops. Sorry about that. I hit my phone that was that's holding the part where you can see. So you make this part and then you're going to come over here too, and you're going to do the same thing, make another curve, except this one is going to be a little bit straighter. And then that curve is going to hit this curve like this. So we got that kind of candy cane shape happening here, like so. And then it's just going to come out just a little bit here, kind of square off a little, like that. And then to make it look three-dimensional, come back down, put a little edge to it, and then follow that right where the curve is, and then you're going to make this shaded in. We're also going to come over here and add just a light line and some even lighter shading. So again, right here, when you're finished shading this in, you come over here, do a light line and a little bit of shading right at the bottom. And then we're going to hop on over to this one and we're going to make this one look three-dimensional. So basically, we're going to add another curve like this. And you're going to shade this part in. And then you're going to do the same over here by making a line all the way around inside it, because this is going to be the inside part. And then you're going to shade it. So just take your time, take a look at what I did. A lot of angles happening with this one. But if you glance a little bit back, you should have what looks like kind of a three-dimensional key that's starting to happen. And then we just have a few more, let's see here, right here. Well, we've got one missing right here. So where this part is here, I want to draw your attention here, and we're going to make another side by just making a line like that and then shading in between there. Like so. And we're also going to be shading all around here too, but we'll get back to that. And then we're going to come down here to make the key part. So when you're finished with doing this part, we're going to come down here and make the key part. And we're going to start over here. And we're first going to make what looks like a rectangle or a square, really. It's going to be a little bit curved over here. Oh, and it goes up a little bit. I made it a little too close to this section. So you kind of want that curve to start a little bit away from there. Curves just a little bit and then goes out. And then we're going to make around here look three-dimensional by making it kind of look like a cube. And then we're going to kind of cut away from it by adding the detail. So once you have that general shape, we're going to come over here and we're going to cut away from it. We're going to cut that shape that's going to look like this. Oops. So pointy at the top, kind of bulbous on the sides, and come back out. You're going to make 4 of those. So we're going to come over here, do the same. So at all the corners here, or near the corners, you're going to do the same thing. And finally over here. And just take your time. I'm just doing it fast just to kind of show you where they should be. And then we're going to have a cross in the middle. Then on the ends is going to be those same designs. So longer parts, almost like you're making kind of like a road. And then you can add the bulbousness with the pointed part. I may have to adjust mine, make it just a little bit smaller. I got a little crazy with these on the end. Gonna make those a little bit shorter. And then we're gonna make those look three-dimensional by adding some little lines to that as well. So I'm gonna go really close to the key here. So basically making some dark half circles. Or not even half circles, they're kind of like just little squiggles following the shape of one part of the shape. And that's going to help it look three-dimensional. So take your time and do that. Okay. So we're now going to draw the wings. So we're going to come to this shape here, and we're going to first start with just a small curve on either side. And then our wing, our bottom wing, is going to come down. Let me make this a little darker. And then out. Now this wing is smaller than the top wing. And it's wider when it comes and meets up with the key. And there is a little groove right there. Whoops. And it's also thickly outlined. So when you get the shape of it, how you want it, you can outline it. All right, there's wing number one. We're going to stay here on the top side here. Our next wing is going to be very close to the other one, but it's going to go away from it and curve with an indent. Indent again. And go back towards our key. And again, when you feel like the shape is how you want it, you can trace around it thicker. And we're going to do the same on the other side. Starting off over here, remember to go down, straight, before your wing comes out. And then this wing is going to bend a little bit, kind of curve a little bit downward. Now this one comes out a bit, and there's a little bit of a little curve here happening before it meets the end part here. And there's also a little bit of a dip in here, or I guess a cut. I don't know what you would call it. And then this one curves a little bit towards the other one, and then curves outward and flattens out a little bit along the edge. Pointy at the end. And same thing, when you're ready, can make it look thicker. Definitely have to do that to this one. And then erase any lines that, whoops, don't make sense anymore. And then we're going to start making some of the lighter lines in here. So we're going to start here on the left top, and we're going to make a light line that extends the whole shape. And we're going to do that to the next wing as well. So we're going to basically do that to all the wings. It curves a little towards the tip of the wing. We're going to come back to this top wing and make a curve there. And then we're going to come back over here, kind of make a shape like that, because we then make a circle where it goes like this. So first we make this shape, and then we make like a half circle. We're going to stay here on the left side and make another half circle closer to here. Then a little bit of a triangle with a line in it. And then over here, we're going to make another line that goes to the end of the tail. Or not the tail, the wing. I don't know what I was thinking there. The end of the tail. We're not drawing an animal. We're going to come up to this wing, and we're going to make lots of light lines. That are really close together. Like so. We're going to come into this wing and make a little bit of sort of what looks like an envelope shape, like this. But then we're going to make some shapes inside that shape. So here's one. Here's another. And then just across like that. And then kind of starting around that side, we're going to make 3 kind of darker curved lines. But the last curved line won't reach the end of the wing. So here's those 3 curved lines. My pencil is pointing to the one, and then they follow like that. And then you're going to make some really light lines on top of those. And then to the rest of the wings, you're also going to make really light curved lines close together in one direction to the end of each of the wings. So these lines are lighter than the other ones we did, and they can go right on top. And when you're done with that, you're going to go in the opposite direction with curved lines going in the other direction on all the wings, all 4. These are very light, close together lines. You can avoid kind of the envelope areas on the wings. And same thing with this one. This is just for texture. And we're finally going to be taking our blending stump here. And basically, you're going to blend over where the key area is here. And you're going to extend it, that blending, for a shadow underneath. That's your first kind of blending area. And then we're going to go inside and blend around the middle part here and all the way up through the key. So you're probably thinking, oh, we're blending a lot. Then we're going to go back and just darken everything or certain parts to make it stand out. But there's a lot of shading on this key. And you also want to go in the middle of the key and bring in that shading underneath so that it's shaded. So basically, we're kind of shading everything, including around and on top of the wings. Oh, hi, Elizabeth. We are just finishing. Oh, she's not on yet. Oh, hi, Elizabeth. We're finishing this up in the next 5 minutes. But I'm so happy that you stopped by and you can get the recording. It's good to see you. We're doing the shading portion. So you're taking from the graphite that's already on your that's on your blending stump. Now, if you're not using a blending stump, you can add some graphite. Now, if you look, what I'm doing as I'm shading each of the wings is I'm taking that blending past the wings onto the outside area so that it also looks like there's shadow there. Especially underneath the wings. And in the center of where the key area is. And we're going to add lines on top. So remember, the whole key should really be shaded and kind of blurred. And then we're going to go in with our pencil for the final dark parts. So we are going to start at the bottom of our key and work our way up. I'm going to give everybody another minute. So this is where there's going to be quite a bit of smudging. If you have another piece of paper and you want to put it on top of sort of your hands, you can. If not, afterward, you can just kind of, take an eraser and clean up any spots that are smudged that you don't want smudged. I end up getting pretty messy. Okay, so we're going to start with the bottom part of the key here, and we're just going to slightly go over some shaded parts to make some of the lines a little darker and then maybe quite a bit darker. So in this section first, we're going to shade a little darker in the center here. And then these two lines, we're going to make a little darker. We're going to shade little lines or little kind of circular lines in between these diamond areas and make those darker on the outside. And then you can add some darker shading at the tip of the start of that area. We're going to work our way up here and add a little bit of shading in between this section. And then as we're going up here, we're going to make these lines darker by pressing on them a little harder. And then in this one, we're going to shade in the middle. So I'm just pointing my pencil toward where I just shaded. We're going to come up where the bulbous part is and go on the outside again, make it darker. And then on the inside, we're going to shade over those lines. So we made them a little bit dark, and now we're just going to shade over them just a little bit to give a little bit of kind of some contrast there. We're going to continue up here and outline outside of this shape, and then just very lightly just do a little shading in the middle of it. But this part here that we're coming up on, we're going to be doing some darker shading in between the triangular parts. We're kind of tracing them and then shading them in the middle. So again, these rectangular parts, you trace around them with a darker line, and then on the inside, shade it, but it's a little bit lighter than the traced part. And then you're going to add just some quick kind of light pencil shading. And we're working our way around. Shade a little bit in the center of this next section. And then we're going to start getting darker in the parts that we started adding the shading. We're going to make those a lot darker. So in all the parts that we shaded sort of almost black, you want it to be more of a dark gray. So that's what we're doing right now. We are retracing the edges of those parts and then just making them a little bit darker inside, much like we did to the part where this triangular part was. So you're going to trace around and then when you fill it in, you're going to fill it in a little bit lighter. And you're going to start kind of tracing around the outside of all of your shapes. To make a dark line. So almost like you're kind of retracing it to make the lines stand out. So we added sort of the first part of shading, but now we're just going back the finishing touches on making them a bit darker. So it's all the parts that are dark, because that is the shadow parts underneath that make it look three-dimensional. And are going to make your drawing look realistic. I know it takes some time to keep going around the whole thing, but this is in the final part. The one part that I'd like you to get the darkest is actually right in this section. I'd like you to make it almost not black, but darker than the dark gray. So make it an even darker gray. And that was this section right here, just in between this space. You can outline it and then fill it in darker gray than the darker gray you did before. So again, we're tracing around these parts of our key just to make it look more three-dimensional. And then I can't wait to see what these look like, because I think they're going to look amazing. And when you're done with that, you can add some light wispy lines in the shadow parts on top of the parts that we kind of shaded underneath. You can add some kind of scratchy, kind of shaded parts. This is on top of, I should have said, this is on top of the shaded parts that in the sort of the background or underneath the key on like whatever it's resting on, I should say, the background. You can add a little bit more of shading by going on top of the blurred part and just adding some pencil if you want. I do kind of short strokey lines, but very light so that you can tell that it's not part of the drawing. Or not part of the actual key, I should say. And then I like to do a final go around thick one more time around the wings. Especially on the underside because it makes it look like even more three-dimensional by there being kind of another little shadow. I'm gonna give everybody another minute. All right, I think I'm gonna stop the recording.